Until we do, it is noon o'clock, and therefore I will call to order the meeting of the Missouri Valley Complex Committee. And can I have Steve call the roll, please?
Sure. Nicole?
Here.
Heim.
Here.
Martinezson.
Here.
Grillo.
Here.
Hildendegger.
Here.
Kralusek.
Here.
Horning.
Here.
Littfeld.
Here.
Peters.
Here.
Munson. Here. Olson and Jessica. You have quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Let's see here. The minutes were distributed via email, and I trust that everyone has had an opportunity to review those. Is there any additions, changes, or otherwise to the minutes? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I would move to approve the minutes from June 18th.
Oh, yes, good. Yes, from June
Second.
18th. We have a motion and a second on the minutes from our June 18th meeting. All in favor? I believe we can do signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. And my spam phone call coming in. Minutes approved as distributed. We will look at the agenda. You will notice that an agenda item number 4 has been added, public comment in line with new state statute. Otherwise, I would entertain any additions or changes to the agenda. If I hear none, I will consider the agenda approved. So at this point, we will move to public comment. I would ask for any Burleigh County residents and or landowners present. Any public comment? Any public comment? Seeing as none, I will close public comment. All right, we will move then into our briefing from Commissioner Munson. Commissioner Munson is on a job site out of town, but we do have him on the phone through Steve over there, so we'll see if we can get this to work.
Are you ready,
Well,
Mike?
Yep, I'm here. I appreciate you guys being able to fit me in here. I'm at the beautiful Minot Air Force Base and digging holes and pouring concrete, but that's the way life goes. A little update on the budget. Our preliminary budget was submitted last month. Some comments on small line items from the budget. Quite honestly, I think all of us are still trying to figure out how the new 3% cap is going to affect everybody. For Burleigh County residents, the next 2 years it shouldn't affect us at all because of the sales tax that was successfully passed. But we're all very worried about 3 and 4 years from now. But we still believe that taxes assessed to the Burleigh County residents will go down considerably this year. We do have $18+ million for the 9 months of collections that will be used to buy down budget prior to assessing the residents. So that is a huge chunk. We're on par if we do the full year next year for that $22-23 million mark. And so again, there'll be even a little bit better reduction in taxes for our residents next year. Final budget will be back up in September for consideration. I know, talking to some of the commissioners on Monday, we may start tackling line items here and there over the next month or so to make the final budget not being such a arduous process, but we'll see where that goes. Steve New and I had a really nice visit, short unfortunately, with State Attorney Lawyer to look through the leases. Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but I got the opinion from Julie that we are going to want leases and agreements, use agreements, as well as the development agreement with the Equestrian and Ag Center. So I know she is, as I told Steve right before the meeting, she lost some more attorneys in the last month, and all of that caseload has landed on her. So she's scrambling, but I know she is working on it. She did take the time to review what Steve had sent and really thought it was a great document to start from. So I do see that process going fairly quickly once we get some of her attention. Discussion and recommendation for Ag and Equestrian Center. I believe what we're going to hear from Alan later on the development agreement is the right direction to go. I think we're going to want to have that agreement with Burleigh County so that everybody is on board and ready to move forward with the project of the Ag and Equestrian Center. And that, again, that development of the operating agreement will be coming as we move forward. And like I said, the document Steve supplied was really good to work with. So I think Julie will be able to get that to us shortly. Questions?
Wayne, if I can add just a couple things. The meeting with Julie was really obvious after her look at the existing leases and operating and use agreements out at the complex out there. There's no one fits all. Every agreement is unique to the situation, the organization, as well as the program or the activities that are being held out there. And of course, the longest standing lease use agreement is with Buckstop Junction. And so she gave it pretty clear to us that none of them would fit anybody else. It's all unique. So that's why when we look at the development and operating agreement or use agreement for the Ag and Equestrian Center, it is going to be unique to that project, program, location, and everything. So, and she said a lease doesn't fit everything. You know, it's a use of area, and now we're going to be public. We're talking about areas and not lots and blocks. So you can define the development area differently than with when it was a PUD. So she's got some background information and other things that have been done previously, so she's willing to help us out and develop that. Any questions for Commissioner? Hearing none.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have on the agenda consideration for the Ag and Equestrian Center. Alan, would you like to tee that up for us?
Yes, thank you. As you know, in the past, we talked about possibly doing a lease with the county for this property, and after Steve and Commissioner Munson had visited with Julie Lawyer about that, it was, going forward, it was thought it would be a better deal to do a development and use agreement rather than a lease. So that is the direction we are going, and we do have a template that we had given to her to use for that use agreement, development and use agreement. So I'm just bringing you guys up to date on that, and I would like to ask and make a motion that the Missouri Valley Complex Committee supports the Equestrian and Ag Committee's request to establish a development and operating agreement with the Burleigh County Commission and Ag and Equestrian Center project at the Missouri Valley Complex.
Second.
We have a second, or a motion and a second. I will reread the motion to make sure that we're all on the same. Missouri Valley Complex Committee supports the Equestrian Ag Committee's request to establish a development and operating agreement with the Burleigh County Commission for the Equestrian and Ag Center project at the Missouri Valley Complex. That has been motioned and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I guess one question, what is the plan is to put this draft together and bring it back to the committee for the review? Would that be the thoughts before it goes to the county commission?
Following the chain of command, as I understand it, or the chain that we have established, is that groups like this would bring the request to go then before the county, and it would be worked out between the individual user groups and the county commission as to what that would read. So as I've kind of classified it in my head, we're like that vetting process to make sure that we've, heard what the Ag and Equestrian Center or a drag race facility or whatever has to offer, before the committee here, and then it is our position to give the blessing for them to go forward then and seek approval in coordination with the commission. Steve, you're raising your hand.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Kevin, I think as we've talked about processes and protocols, the first step, I think this is a good way to go and start this process. The complex committee takes the idea, moves it forward to county commission. County commission is gonna actually own the agreement, it's their property, but I see it coming back to the Missouri Valley Complex periodically to review, so it doesn't affect or impact or negatively affect any group that's out there. So the agreement is consistent with what's going on in everybody else's interests, so it'll come back and forth, I'm sure, a couple times before it's all done.
So as I understand, the request is to go to that next step, to take it before the commission, so that then the user group and the commission and the powers that be can hash out those details.
So my question would be, is the full commission going to wonder why we didn't develop that further, even if it's just bullet points? Like, I could anticipate at least one commissioner saying, well, what's the committee doing if we're the ones making this agreement directly?
Right.
So,
I think that's a really good point, and I can think of similar questions that'll come up. And again, I tried to get it straight in my head that we are here as representatives of a whole, and that it is our duty to make sure that what each of the individual interest is doing is for the betterment of the facility, but not beholden upon us to meddle in any one of the operations out there. That we're kind of that vetting to make sure that there isn't gun shooting at the same time there's a dog show, something like that, is to not meddle in any of the finer details, but to make sure that we're all moving ahead in the same direction. Beyond that, our duty is to develop the infrastructure and the overall arching facilities out there. So I anticipate the same question, because I had the same questions, but I can finer tune that message before it goes before the commission, but that's how I've categorized it. Alan?
I would agree with that, and I would say this, that if motocross, say you guys wanna, you know, if your lease comes up or whatever, and you have certain things that you wanna do within your lease, I know nothing about motocross and what you guys do, unfortunately. But it would not, I wouldn't feel right sitting at this table trying to tell them what they need to do or meddle in their process, without being involved in it. I'm just here to support it. And if they bring stuff forward, we're here to say, yeah, we're behind you, what do we need to do?
I think it was part of the evolution of us figuring out the processes and the procedures and the purpose of this committee, so thanks for being the guinea pigs.
And one other thing to think about too, sitting here, I thought about this morning, and, you know, what we're doing today being so new and a brand new committee is we're setting precedences for the future and other people that are gonna be sitting in these chairs when we're done. And we wanna make sure we do it right from the start.
Fred?
Sure, cool. And I'm not talking about meddling, I'm talking about seeing the agreement so that, again, I think to your point, it's like, so that we know what's going on in the complex, so if it affects, does it affect 4-H, does it affect buck stop? How does something affect it? And it might, because we might not, I mean, you know, you guys may say, oh, this was great for the complex, and buck stop may say, oh, wait, what about this? We're the experts in our areas, we're not the experts in the complex, so I think that's what I'm getting at. I don't wanna meddle, I don't wanna say, no, you shouldn't be able to do that. I'm just thinking that we should be able to vet it so much to say, yeah, we think this is great. We don't have any concerns with it, because, again, we're all one group, and if there is a concern, I think we need to talk about it before we get down the road, and that's all I'm asking.
Yeah, I struggled with that in my head too, because and we kind of discussed this back in June of, you know, do we get to see what's being put ahead? And I've asked myself too, what's chicken and what's egg in this situation? And I've settled on personally believing that it's our duty to vet the use or the idea to make sure that it aligns with cohesively with everything that's on there or going on out there, then it is beholden on the county commission to even agree to enter into an agreement, a legal binding document with the user. And once that's done, that agreement is made to go down that road, we would have the opportunity to review, just as we have reviewed everybody else's lease agreement. So I've struggled with chicken or egg. Do we look at it before? And how I've kind of settled on that is, if we look at it before and we're like, yep, this is 100%, this is what we're gonna do, and then the county's like, nope, then have we wasted the time? We find out what the county is good with before we go down that road. And and it might not be apples and apples, but like P&Z. People bring projects before or land uses before the P&Z. And ultimately, the P&Z can vote, recommend, and do whatever, but it's the commission that decides whether or not something's going to go through. So I believe that at this point, we're in the vetting process, that we've heard it, we've gone back and forth, and now we say, yes, go forward and see what that agreement it develops with the county, and then we'll bring it back and implement it. But that's my own line of thinking. I don't know if that even close to answers your question.
Then I just go back to your point, like, if it goes to the county commission and it affects somebody maybe negatively, they're not gonna have that knowledge, how it affects motocross, how it affects the, so I'm just thinking, if, again, go back, develop an agreement, let's look at a draft and go say, hey, everything looks good, we don't have any concerns, then hopefully then with our support, going to the county, it's gonna be better. Because what I anticipate, if something comes up, it gets approved and now it affects somebody adversely, now the county's gonna say, well, why didn't you guys vet this before it came to us? That, again, I kinda to your point where it goes through planning and zoning first, and again, the county commission can still decide what to do, make changes, those kind of things, but at least if they've got our either support or no support, I guess, that's kinda where I'm getting at.
I see what you're saying.
Well, one thing too, and maybe this is more positive, but there's different experiences we've all had in the room. I mean, obviously I don't have as much as Wayne, but I mean, just kind of the things that we can bring to the table. There might be one aspect in terms of something we propose, maybe you guys could add on and vice versa, to try and make it better, again, for the complex. So we can all look at it, you know, there might be some positives that might be added.
Any further discussion on the motion presented? Okay, we do have a motion and a second. The motion being for this group to support the Missouri Valley, or the Ag and Equestrian Center to go forward. Thank you. The Missouri Valley Complex supporting the Ag and Equestrian Committee's request to establish a development and operating agreement with Burleigh County Commission for the center's project at the Missouri Valley Complex. Steve, call the roll.
Clipfeld,
Aye.
Horning,
No.
Graylisek,
Yes.
Mills
Yes.
Graylo,
Yes.
Martinezson,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Heim,
Yes.
LaCoe,
Yes.
motion carried.
Now, looking at the discussion, and I love the points on this, I would, and I don't know if this is in line with Robert's Rules of Order or anything else, but this is how I'm gonna do it. I would like to make sure that we keep an open line of communication with your group to, again, you're the guinea pigs on this, to address the points that Brian and others have brought up of, let's see how we best can use this committee to make sure that we set whoever has gone through our vetting process up for the greatest level of success. So I think that there's ways to achieve all of the above. I'm happy that the committee went forward on this, but I think that there's definitely opportunities to make sure it's a win for all of us.
Absolutely.
So are you asking for them to, I'm very confused. So we just gave them support, so like they write an agreement. with Julie Lawyer, she approves it, it can go to the county commission, it does not need to come here, correct?
Ultimately,
Correct, okay. So that is why I voted no, because after all of your guys' points, even though I was the second, I voted no because I thought maybe a person should put a thing in there and be like, hey, we would love to see your product before it goes before the county commission, exactly what your point was. So now, what are you saying? You want
I'm
him
asking for
to
good
have-
faith.
You're asking for good faith, you're not saying, you're not demanding that.
No, I'm asking
Okay.
for good faith, and in working with them, I'm
That's what I'm-
confident.
Kind of confused about
Yeah.
what you're asking of him, because they don't, not you personally, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, if a group comes and then our meeting's canceled, you could just go to the commission, so you don't have to wait around or whatever.
And that was the reason why I voted yes, because I was on the fence, to your point. And knowing that this was already a request before this committee in June, and then we didn't have a meeting in July, and we're in August, and then we're already approaching the end of the year kind of stuff, it was an absolute go forward and conquer. But I am requesting, just as a chair and as a friend, good faith to make sure that, again, we all win.
I think, and I've struggled with this too, Marie, is ultimately it's an agreement between the Ag and Equestrian Center and the commission,
Right.
period. But I think with this committee overseeing everything out there, it's a chain of command in my mind, and I'm a stickler on chain of command, to go through the process and make sure that everybody's on board with what's happening. I think that's only right. So yes, I absolutely will.
I think the most likely scenario is that the commission's gonna say no, or kick it back to us. The odds are probably very low that they're just going to approve an agreement and be done with it.
And that might end up screwing your timeline, but part of me would love it, because it reestablishes that chain of command. We've already seen how this can play out when there isn't an established, you need to go to the committee first, and a developer goes directly to the commission to buy the property. If the commission does kick this back to us, they have just re-solidified what their expectation is of this group. So right now, it is putting the ball in the court of the county commission with our oversight. You know, there has already been one example of a group that approached us, you know, for a good idea or a bad idea, depending on which side of that you would be on, and it died in committee, for lack of better reference. So I feel that we've done our job, but this will help, I believe, establish that chain of command.
Okay, but the motion said we already supported it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It supports the development of the operating and agreement. It does not say we support
Whatever was
is going, right.
Okay.
We are merely establishing, to your point, like a couple meetings ago, you had said too, like, why do we have to go through this? Because we're recognized, they're part of this committee. This is, we're approving them to develop this next work piece with the county.
So if you, yeah, so
That's
this,
fine.
in the first sentence, and it's probably, Missouri Valley Complex Committee supports the Ag and Equestrian Center, the Ag and Equestrian and Ag Committee's request to establish a development and operating agreement. Yeah.
Right. And a lot of that came out of, the report that I heard from, Commissioner Munson and Steve's conversation with State's Attorney Lawyer, that at one point this group was, at least my sense, was moving towards more of a uniform lease or use agreement versus everybody having their own thing. And from what I gathered from the discussions between the three of them was that there is such uniqueness out there that uniform application is not going to work out. And because of that surface interest or the surface review of the interested parties out there, it was in the best interest of the group to have their own agreement. Anything else?
If I might add two things to help, three, I guess. One is that it's only a request to the county commission, and the plan is September 5th to make the request to develop an agreement. Second part is, we need the expertise and the assistance of the state's attorney's office as a committee, which we are a committee of the county, so that's gonna be part of this too, the state's attorney's gonna be engaged. Thirdly, this group has no legal authority to sign anything, so any lease, operating agreement, development agreement is gonna be at the Burleigh County Commission table. Excuse me, fourth. I see this as a back and forth, and, you know, the things and the conditions and the discussions will be coming back to this group so that it benefits everybody. Whatever happens benefits everybody at that complex out there, including improvements, so I think this is a good one to work back and forth.
Great. Any other discussion on that agenda item? Good discussion, that's excellent. Okay, on to agenda item number 6, Swenson and Hagen's update on wetland mitigation, plat development, and infrastructure design. Come on down.
Chair Dakota, committee members, thank you for having me. Had some conversations with more engineering here last week and this week. They are just wrapping up their field work and their report. And so they sent me some information that I printed off as I was walking out the door. So I have not read anything, but I did print off the exhibits, and while I was waiting, I did a quick little count, and it appears that maybe we're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of about 130 to 140 acres of various wetlands within the property. So what I would like to do is get the report, which is a draft, downloaded, read that, touch base with more, kind of get their take on things, and then report back with a report, exhibits that they've put together, and then have a meeting where we can get you guys together with more. And after you guys have had a chance to kind of read the report, absorb some of that, we can have a discussion with them on what the various wetlands mean to us, what can happen with moving forward, whether we, move forward with the Corps on a permit, we try to avoid them, we mitigate them, we buy into the bank program, which Ducks runs. I have heard recently, I was in a meeting where there was a permit that was sent to the Corps, and it just got some response back. And the Corps has just recently, as of this spring, maybe changed how they're kind of processing permits right now. There's been a lot of, I think, national complaints on how the program is ran and how you run through a permit to get through those impacts and find a solution. And what I have heard so far is that they're going back to a old mitigation ruling back from 2008. And there's some good with that and there's some bad with that. But it will make it, I think, harder to permit. It's a longer process now. There's some things because we have floodplain and wetlands, or floodplain with wetlands and some floodway with that floodplain, that there's going to be some additional requirements that the Corps is going to come back with. So not exactly sure how all of that plays into it. I think the bank's program right now is somewhere in that $75,000 per acre range. So just doing a quick look at the map, it looks like if we were to move forward with a proposal of relocating some roadways and different things, or even expansion of those roadways, that we could be looking at, 3 to 5 acres of impact. I know there's been a lot of conceptual planning on, future expansion of the facility with parking lots and facilities and such, and so there's some impacts could be some future impacts that come along with that. So I think to really get back onto a playing field of, which are kind of the next couple components that we were gonna talk about, the scheduling for the plat and also infrastructure. I think that those two items are going to somewhat be decided by how you move forward with this first agenda item, which is the impacts with wetlands and how this core process is changing. I'm just got hit with this week, so I totally don't know everything with that impact. And I was talking to Casey at the county this week, and they got hit with the same thing on the project they're working on, 26th Street there. And so we're all kind of scrambling, trying to figure out some answers right now on what this new ruling means, or this old ruling. So, yes.
How many total acres are out there with the wetlands?
I think from just the rough count that I looked at, I think it's somewhere between 130 and 140 acres of wetlands.
Yep, and then total acres of the whole complex.
The whole complex, I don't have that number offhand.
Just looked at it on Sunday because I have an idea, but, yeah. Let me confer with Onyx here.
What's included in that wetland? Is the floodway, floodplain all included in that 120 acres?
There are areas in that
Also the
map.
center part that goes all the way down to.
Yeah, so it's the thread of Hay Creek, and it's the,
Yeah.
you know, floodway area that encompasses Hay Creek and that floodplain area. But there's also some wetlands that creep up along Centennial. And then, of course, you know, kind of in that lower level just west of the racetrack, there's some wetlands in that area as well, so.
Tyler looked it up, 409 acres.
That includes the jail too, so,
Yep.
Yeah, so we're
thank you.
really looking at about, you know, a quarter of the property.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Interesting point, you know, if you go back and look at the, there is a wetland mapper online, and if you go and look at that, and one of the maps that I haven't put together was that mapper against the wetlands that got mapped, and there's considerably more in that delineated map than there was based off of that federal indicator, and that's what it is, it's just an indicator, so. Surprising but not surprising. I mean, I think we all kind of thought a lot of these areas were gonna be suspect, didn't quite know where the limits were, but some of the areas we were gonna get into looked like got a 50-50 shot at having some wetlands in there, so. So, with that, I would, you know, like I said, like to get through that and give you guys a synopsis, and then if we could get together with more and allow them to kind of make a presentation, and then we outline what our next steps are.
Do you feel that September's meeting would be premature for the meeting with more, or?
No, I don't.
So we make sure to have that on the agenda then.
Yep.
Yes, Jason, have you heard anything about that sewer line they're gonna be putting in, or gonna put it in last fall and never got done? And they were gonna do it this spring and never got done. What's the story there?
I can check into that. I don't have an update on that. My understanding was that was supposed to be on the docket to get completed.
Okay.
I'll make a note and I'll check on it.
Okay.
Hearing no more discussion on the wetland, you wanna move on to the plat development?
Timeline on the sewer line?
Yeah, I have not heard anything on the sewer line either.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
As far as the planning schedule, if we do have our meeting next month, I'm gonna take a look at what that would mean to get back on schedule. And so we would probably miss September's meeting to get back on schedule, especially if we're going to make a change to the plat. And so that at a minimum then could push us into October. So, once I have an opportunity to take a look at this, I'd like to maybe say, you know, is there something we can schedule, possibly a special meeting? And then we can move that up, and that might give us some more time if, and depending on how we keep or rearrange the plat, that we could possibly be back on city schedules to get back to some of the commission meetings.
That's been a beast of a process.
Yes. This impact will dramatically possibly change how timelines go.
Alright. Let's go on to infrastructure then.
Well, as far as the infrastructure goes, if you go back to June, we were looking that the city was, in general, willing to accept utilities. And they had a indication of which roadways, if not all, they would assume. And then from there, what we would look at for, our network. And so we were looking at providing water looping around that facility, bringing sanitary sewer in, and then of course they did indicate that we needed to address stormwater. And so right now, one of the areas that we were 50-50 on, whether that was gonna be an impact or not, is actually an impact. So we'll be required to, if we're not gonna mitigate, move some of that detention pond into a different location if we're gonna avoid. So, kinda, as you would expect, the wetlands are kinda down in the lower area, so everything that runs downhill, of course, where we wanna pick up the stormwater and everything is right, of course, where we do have delineated wetlands.
It kind of all hinges upon that wetland mitigation report.
It's all coming back to how we're gonna look at these impacts.
I live in floodplain and floodway, so I totally get it.
Yeah.
Any other questions on any of the engineering stuff?
I will make one more note, that I believe this new ruling that they're working from, I think they prioritize the bank program as a #1 indicator. Typically, we would have had it where a mitigative effort would have been #1. And I think the other thing that might be coming out that we kind of talked about a little bit was, instead of starting at a 1-to-1 impact, so your impact, how quality your wetland is, those type of aquatic plants. You can go from a 1-to-1 to a 4-to-1 for your impact. And I think possibly that starts at a 2-to-1 now, irregardless. So that also, we disturb an acre, you might be mitigating 2. And I believe the bank is the same way. If we have an acre impact, it would actually be a buyout of 2. So.
Cha-ching.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Well, thank you again for your updates and your hard work on this. I will be very interested to get your assessment on the report. And I would say if we can go forward and schedule a meeting with more for September would be ideal.
I'll try to get through that as soon as I can and then get with them so I can get back to you folks.
Okay. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 7 on the agenda is the committee discussion. We kind of teed this up in June on the future, the form, the function, and the operations of anything. Our discussion earlier today on the chain of command and the process and everything makes this a very timely conversation. Additionally, we're coming up on the official end of the official first year of the first full year, I should say, of this committee's existence. So I do feel that there are some discussions that need to happen about what we've learned, where to go from here, so on and so forth. I think that there is merit to have some of those discussions in front of a large group, but I also believe that it in our best interest to move those discussions, at least primarily, or at the first onset, into a subcommittee. So I would like to get the committee's thoughts on the development of a subcommittee to dig into some of those items deeper and then bring back a report and or recommendations to the full committee. Thoughts, input?
So is this a subcommittee to determine what a subcommittee would do?
Kinda. It's government, Gavrilo. You know, because we've talked around the issues a few times, the leases, the chain of command. We also need to, Steve has briefly teed up the fact that we do not have staff support right now as a committee, that we relied quite heavily, and thank you, Steve, for his work, but we won't have Steve forever. So I see that this subcommittee's primary function is to establish those roles, what we need support in, what we need help from, and to think ahead of the really good points that Brian raised earlier and that we discussed around the table. Any changes or recommendations that we would want to make regarding what we've learned or want to change on this committee would need to be decided on in relatively short order, because a new year starts and all of your interests will need to be assigning, reassigning, whatever your groups say, representation here. We have a committee member at large that will be rotating off, and we would want to have any changes or proposed changes before the county commission prior to that December timeframe. So we're quickly running out of time to make any changes should they be necessary. Or we could use the rest of this meeting to talk about it here. Some questions that have been raised on, to my ears, are membership. Currently, we have an open seat that's been previously reserved for the North Dakota High School Rodeo Association. And that has prompted several discussions as to classifications of membership here. The North Dakota High School Rodeo Association did not have interest in assigning anybody to this role, and at least my view is they're a user group. Should user groups that aren't building or have established facilities, should they be on this committee? So that would be something that would need to be discussed, because any changes to that makeup of the committee needs to go before the county commission to have approval. Are we missing any potential committee members? What else? Steve, there was another couple of things that you had mentioned for this form and function.
Well, I think outlining the protocols or processes, so everybody's clear, just like we talked about with this operating agreement development, what comes back and forth, so everybody understands what comes to the committee, how it's initiated, so there's some steps identified. Just kind of review what the original proposals were made to the county for operation and function, and if anything flips up, to bring it back and talk about it. We have to go back to the county then for any changes.
Right.
And I think that'd be a place to start with the original documents.
And, I get the joke, Dustin, too, about a subcommittee of a subcommittee, but I also am very well aware, as you are as well, that group by many or decisions by many can take a lot longer of a time. And given the major issues that we still have to address, platting, the flood, or the wetland mitigation, so on and so forth, I don't believe that it's the best use of our time to hash out the finer, minute details. Instead, have a couple of 2, 3, 4, whatever it would be, people focused just on looking at where we've come, where we want to go, present that back to the committee for their input, and then recommendation to the county. However, that is the committee's decision, but I would suggest doing a subcommittee, and at that I would suggest that Alan lead the charge on that as vice chair. But I will again kick that out to the committee to see any input, thoughts, or if you would like to tackle this at a full meeting.
I would, I guess I would take that on. If you guys, if the rest of the group thinks it's worth doing. There's quite a bit of stuff there to go through, and if we need to have that done in a short amount of time, I would take that burden off the full committee for the next meeting and the meeting after to get through that. That's my thoughts.
Anyone else want to join him?
When do we want this done by?
I think that it would be in our best interest to have whatever recommendations come out of the subcommittee to be presented at the October meeting of this committee that gives us a full 4-ish meetings to get it in front of the county.
I worked with Alan, I was gonna see if it was this September, it just wasn't gonna work for me, but October.
I think September is putting a lot of expectation, but October I think would be doable.
I'll help.
Thanks.
I'd help out.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw this word out, to me it's pretty important, but it's called planning. And it's something that's lax in a lot of arenas in this area, so I think this would be a good planning mechanism, planning tool for the group.
Okay. We have 3, which I feel is sufficient, but if there's one additional volunteer, absolutely, I would encourage to raise your hand. Otherwise, I will leave it to the vice chair to go forth and conquer with the support of Stephen Bryan. The number 8 agenda item is discussion on development of the Missouri Valley Complex Activities and Program Report. And this landed here because of a couple of reasons. One, there is anecdotally a severe lack of awareness of all of the amazing things that go on out at that complex. The sheer number of people that come through the proverbial gates. I shared with Stephen Allen that I went out the same weekend they had the junior high rodeo and the motocross finals. And my God, it is 3 solid minutes of video from one end of the complex to the other, and the millions of dollars and the hundreds of people out there, I think needs to be recognized. And that carries its own weight, but I feel that it needs to be put together in a way that can be presented to the county commission at the end of the year saying, this is what we represent and this is what we have accomplished in the last 18 months or so. I would love if the committee would support, I would love to work on that alongside all of you, but as the chair, put it together and present to the county. I would like to get together with each of you and understand the different events and the number of people that your organizations have touched. So kind of wanted to give you a heads up that I'm going to be asking for numbers and I'm going to be asking for that sort of stuff. But I would also like to have that ready for the committee's review October, maybe November. I'm not sure what our October date is. I might be in Texas, so at the latest in November to review. So if there's any additional input or interest in additional help to me, I would take it, but I do think that this is an important year for our commission to hear what we've been doing. Steve?
We kept this on the agenda, Maria brought it up a couple months ago about even reports to the group,
Yeah.
monthly, a different group, a member group to talk about their activities and things. But we had conversations probably a year ago even about putting the annual report together. So I think this would be good to really recognize what's going on out there. There's a lot of stuff. Missy has talked about it before. There's just a lot of activities going on. And so it'd be a good piece.
Question, do you guys track, or who tracks how many horses sleep over. So I typically go to the Joanne Hetzel Memorial Building, well, who knows, sometimes every week. Tyler goes there more. But you guys, the amount of people that stop, put their horse in that arena, or I don't even know how, or, like, does anyone keep records of that?
I think they just stop.
They just do it.
Just stop.
Guys, it's,
Yeah.
it's a lot. I mean, even for our achievement days, the Montreal family, they came the night before.
Lord,
And,
Montreal.
yeah, they all came the night before with their trailers. I mean,
There's
that's
like an entire
something
underground network of people
Yeah.
that know where all of these fairgrounds exist.
where you can
and-
drop money, or I don't want people, I don't know if they have to pay, I don't care if they don't pay, I mean, whatever. I don't know how to track that, like, but I mean, that's something to have in there that you wouldn't think of.
Mhm.
Now, for sure, we know, cause we know they did it, cause we were there and talked to them, there's a lot. And I mean, that's something to think about, that's really cool, right? And that speaks to your need of indoor horse, I'm gonna call it stabling, but not stabling, what do you, stalls, to stop for the night or 2 nights, or I'm coming to an event. So I mean, make sure we don't forget
Yeah,
that, cause that
that's
could
a
get
really good
forgotten, cause nobody sees it, right? That's that underground you don't see unless you're there. And you're visiting with the person that's coming to your event, you know, and going, oh, hey, cool, you came last night and went to eat at McDonald's or whatever.
Is that the Good Sam Club of the horse world? Is that-
You know, it's not all that difficult to place a few thought leaders into that group and be like, make sure you shoot an email or shoot a text message to whatever if you're stopping in. But like, I've overnighted at Belfouche and
Yeah.
you don't let anybody know, and I mean, there was like 18 other horses along with us that day, and yeah, it would be interesting to,
Sounds
Get
more like
it.
a boondocker.
basically, yeah, you know, it's like they didn't wanna pull 24 hours through straight street somewhere and they stop over, but
Well, it's, even through the summer, I mean, we went to, I think we counted 30 plus pro rodeos this summer. And Minnesota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, and North Dakota. And you're you're running those horses morning or night, whatever it is, and you wanna get somewhere, run 6 hours or whatever, and put them up, let them rest. It's very important, and we're always looking for, and there is always, Facebook is loaded with
yes.
the WPRA website, or
Well, even,
Facebook
yeah, the
page.
WPRA
You know, where do you-
Facebook is a common, yeah.
Does anybody know where to stop and who to get a hold of to do this, to rest our horses? I mean, it is,
So that's place out water, is there safe pens, are there any livestock on site, yeah, it's,
yeah.
good point.
So that is part of our thought process behind the whole facility is a overnighting place for people to stop and overnight and go on. And to have a place to ride, you know, to get up, water your horses, feed them, exercise them a little bit before you load, and then go. That is huge.
Even during the Mandan Rodeo, there was a lot of discussion going on in the Facebook groups asking where there was to halt, ride, because the space is so limited over in Mandan once everybody gets there.
And the economic impact, you brought that up, you know, if you get people to stop here, they're gonna put fuel on here. They're gonna go eat something, they're gonna put their horses up, go uptown, eat something, come back. I mean, the economic impact of just that is huge.
Okay, on the agenda, but I have a second. So you just said something important, not that we need more people coming, because we don't wanna be out there.
Right.
But like our arena, the arena that's down there, now I don't know who takes care of it, I know people kind of take care of it themselves, right? I'm gonna put on an event, I'm gonna come down there and plow. But I mean, is that something we should look at, I mean, maybe it's too late budget here, that we should help Mandan and help that community by saying, hey, guess what? Burleigh County or your group or Kay's gonna go out there with her own tractor and she's gonna prepare that space, come stay with us. I mean, is that something to think about for next year? Cause I mean,
Absolutely it is.
I mean, that's not that, I mean, I don't know how hard it is to do what you do, Tyler, and get us a tractor.
Send a tractor. The
And
only
send
thing
a
is,
tractor.
we're gonna have you were talking about those, the water units on the back of
Mhm.
Yeah, that'd be an investment, but I mean, that would definitely draw in a heck of a lot more people.
No, do you know who has a water truck that we're gonna call for Achievement Days? He has a water truck and I'm going to call him for Achievement Days. I already texted Priscilla a photo of it. I said, is this what you need? And she said, yeah, and she goes, where is that? And I said, it's over the hill, you can't see it from our arena. But I saw it when I left the other day. I was like, that solves a problem for us. But anyways, that's something to think about, it's a long ways away till July. But maybe we should
It'll
help
be
out
here before you
people.
know
It would be good because of the
And figure it
fall,
out.
because that's the 4th of July run and it is
Oh my
nuts, the people,
How about
like, we were
Christmas?
there for the slack on Tuesday, and we had a heck of a time finding a place to park. Granted, we live here, we can come from home, but, we started that run from Mandan and then left and went other places, but to have a place, a safe place to put your horse and not have to pan them out beside your trailer, which we do a lot of, and be able to get on and ride and warm up, do what you need to do is huge. So yeah, it would be huge.
Just a heads up with penning your horses out there, we've got about 5 coyotes that are packing up and running.
And see, that's the other thing too
So you
with
gotta be careful.
development, I mean, there's dogs, I mean, there's that wolf dog, and I shouldn't call him wolf dog, but I swear it's the crap out of me at 10 o'clock at night when I get done with the pesticide training, and it's right outside the door and you go to leave. I mean, dogs are harmless, but that's the point of,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of controls something.
Yeah, they typically won't like drop them off and leave them overnight.
No, they're gonna stay there. with
They'll
us.
stay there with them, but anyway, is there any other business?
The question, Tom, how many riders were in that last event that you had?
364 one day and then 357 the other day.
And each rider brings 4 or 5 people along with them.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking too, regarding the horses and that, they eat grass and the pit area of the motocross track or any area of it, there's grass there. You know, why couldn't, if there's a, why couldn't they go in there and graze? It's fenced, or you stake, whatever you do.
Because we make a mess when we go places.
At least he's honest, right?
I'll just be honest.
The mower takes care of that.
Any other new business, or any other business? Hearing none, great meeting today.
I got one item. I was reading the minutes, and we had like $300,000 in the budget for 2025. And, I can't see we would use up that this year and anything. Does that get carried over to next year then?
I think that was locked up with,
26 has got
Yeah.
a total of 300 and some thousand.
because we're re-adding in, it wasn't so much that the money was added, it was just re-categorized because of the maintenance costs out there.
Wayne put into the budget specifically the road grading and snow removal and the things that they had been paying the county for direct services, so that's all in the operating budget, it's 236 or something.
Yeah.
The other 150 is phase 3 of Swenson Hagen's original contract, if that moves forward with infrastructure design and roads and everything.
In other words, I highly doubt there's any more meat on the bone.
Thank you.
All right, excellent discussion today. Our next meeting is Wednesday, September 17th at noon, same place, same time. I believe that we already have on the agenda, or will get our discussion with, or the mitigation update on that. And unless I hear otherwise, we will stand in adjournment. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, the other night when we were out there, I saw it.